1.
Welcome, good afternoon, and welcome to our policy committee meeting for November 18th. This meeting shall begin with a call to order and acceptance of minutes from the last meeting. Are there any changes anybody wants to see made? No? All right, then let's move on to public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment?
No.
All right, Mrs. Latour, you're on for the proposed revisions, 4.1.
All right, so I'm going to cluster these because the changes are very similar per policy. So the first batch I'm going to give you is non-discrimination. Non-discrimination covers 0521, which is the community version, 4118.11/4218.11, which is the personnel version, and then the 5000 series, which is the student version. These policies are all similar in the revisions that were made. They've been revised to reflect the additions passed during the 2025 legislative session. Public Act 25-139 adds sexual assault victim and human trafficking victims as protected classes under Connecticut's anti-discrimination laws. Also updated was the location and contact information for the U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights, because the Boston office is now closed. And the appeal timeline for complaints involving the superintendent or a member of the board has been aligned with the timeline applicable to other respondents. And then technical revisions throughout all of these. So these are both policies and regulations that have been all updated and revised using that criteria. Do we have any questions?
I only have 3.
Okay,
And they'll be quick.
great.
Since this this bulk involves and is naming Danielle and Amy, would you do me a favor and just have them review this quickly before it goes to instructional, just because they're named in the policies?
They review all of them before it even comes to policy committee.
Okay, so they've reviewed it.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, part 2. The very first one in our packet, non-discrimination. This is 0521.
Yeah.
Okay, if you look on page 6, there's a cross out at the bottom. And I think the word, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but there was a cross out. Was the word sex supposed to be in there?
No.
So
It's
it just
the only
says,
one that remains. So the cross out is for gender and the slash, and then gender identity or expression, sexual orientation, or pregnancy, but just
oh, I see sex is not crossed out.
right. So
Okay,
that's the
I can
one
see it
tiny
now.
word left.
Okay, so based on that, I know it was a little word. So based on that, I noticed that with the rest of the policies, that portion of the sentence was not crossed out. So that sentence appears in,
Every single one of them.
yeah, so you'll be crossing out, you'll be making it consistent. So, okay, the next one is crossed out.
Right. So page 8 of the reg is crossed
Yeah.
out.
So for 4118.11 on page 8,
Which one?
the one that says non-discrimination under personnel, 4118.11 on page 8.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
I will have to check because honestly, I will check it against the model that Shipman put forward
Okay.
just
So
to
each-
clarify, because there might be nuances between the community version. I doubt it, but I like to think I don't make any mistakes, but I'll double check all 3.
Okay. So yeah,
Um,
each consecutive one is not crossed out. And if we're going to be consistent and if we need to be consistent, I just wanted to highlight it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I will go back to the Shipman model and look at the track changes.
Okay, cool.
Jennifer, did you mean page 9, not 8?
I meant page 8, Mr.
Yeah.
Votto.
Really?
Yeah, after,
It's page 8 of 0521A. It's crossed out. Then you go to 4118.11 / 4218.11, and it is,
Oh, not on.
it's in between.
it's a
them.
lot.
It's
I gotta
page-
tell you,
Yeah.
these were really, really a challenge to update.
Yes, I totally get it. So if you wouldn't mind just skipping to
Yes.
the last page of each one.
I will. It's
Thank
page
you.
8 of the personnel policy, Mr. Votto, and I'll check all the other ones, but
Mm.
Awesome.
yeah, I will definitely double check.
Thank you.
You're
And then
welcome.
my third question has to do with the personnel series. It's the administrative regulations regarding the prohibition of sex discrimination and sexual harassment as part of our personnel.
Okay, I haven't gotten to that one yet.
I was gonna say,
Okay, well, when you do I have a question.
Okay. Are there any other things I need to check with non-discrimination?
I was going to ask you what you said at the end before, and now I forgot what it was, but
I said I was doing technical revisions throughout, and then in the, I think it's the community version, the timeline related to complaints to the superintendent, or the Board of Ed aligns with all the other policies now per statutory language. Is that?
yeah, I
does
think
that
that
make
was,
sense?
that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Any other questions about that?
no,
Okay. The next batch is the 2 policies regarding the prohibition of sex discrimination and sexual harassment. So these 2 policies, one is a personnel policy, one is a student policy, and they both have corresponding regulations to go with them.
what's the numbers, Carrie?
This one is 4118.112 and then 4118.112A.
Okay,
And the student one is 5145.44 and 5145.44A.
got it.
Can we just go by the red number that was put on there? 4.5, 4. Would that help in the 51131 and all that?
Yeah, so it's 4418 and 5145. Those are the 2 policies we're looking at, plus the regulations.
Did you say
Well-
them again?
Do you want the orange number, Mike?
Yeah.
That is 4118.112. I don't know that he wanted the points.
He wants the orange
That's
number.
orange. So 4.4, 4.41, 4.5, 4.51. Right?
Oh, you want the agenda number, not the policy number.
I
Sorry.
want both.
Okay. I don't, yeah. Oh,
Come on,
boy.
look. 4.4.
So it's
one.
it's agenda item 4.4 is the policy. 4.4.1
One.
is the reg.
Okay.
And then
4.5.
4.5, which is policy 5145.44. It's the student version. And then 4.5.1
Right.
is 4145.44A.
Oh, Mom.
Holy cow. This is a lot.
Okay. So it just starts with 4.4.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. These particular policies are a little bit different in their changes. So I will first go through the similarities. The policies have been revised to reflect the additions passed during the 2025 legislative session. I'm reading the wrong one. Holy cow. Personnel. Let's start over. Personnel. January 9th, 2025, Federal District Court ruled that the 2024 Title IX regulations were vacated, and we had adjusted all of that. On January 31st, the U.S. Department of Ed Office of Civil Rights confirmed that effective immediately, it would enforce the 2020 Title IX regulations. Boards of Education discontinued the use of those policies and now follow the 2020 Title IX regulations. Therefore, this policy, the prohibition of sex harassment and sex discrimination, complies with the 2020 Title IX regulations. It updated also the location of the U.S. Department of Ed Office of Civil Rights. It added a reference to potential use of third-party contractors to conduct investigations. Please note that the regulations already reference the possible use of third-party contractors, so that was done in the policy. The third addition was the removal of the definition of fondling within the definition of sex assault and replaces it with criminal sexual contact, and updated the definition of rape pursuant to changes to the National Incident-Based Reporting System Manual. So those are the personnel changes.
And all of the changes in this are kind of verbatim what we needed to put in this.
Correct. So this is all from our attorneys.
Right.
And they use CABE's model as well. And then, add their legal stuff.
Yeah.
For the student policy,
Hold on,
Again.
wait a minute.
sure.
So you haven't highlighted, right, where those changes were
Yep.
inserted, correct?
Correct. So for your review, the strikeouts are everything we took out.
Right.
And
That's a
the
lot.
shade, it was a lot. The shade is the stuff that was added. There were a lot of changes to the personnel one to align it back to the 2020 version of Title IX. So I did, which I often do when there's many, many changes, I struck out and started fresh. Okay?
Mhm.
Or else I'd be like strike throughing and shading galore.
With regard to all of that,
Yep.
I'm wondering. So at the end of both the personnel and the student policy or regs, I'm sorry, there's an Appendix A that has some significant definitions.
Yep.
Since the definition of sexual assault appears with a lot of corrections, I guess the FBI decided to change how
Yep.
they define it. Does it make sense, instead of driving ourselves crazy every time they decide to change the definition of what sexual assault is, can we just simply put that we are accepting that the definition of sexual assault is as defined? So that very first sentence, an offense classified as a forcible or non-forcible sex offense under the Uniform Crime Reporting System of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And just leave it as that, so we're not driving ourselves crazy changing these definitions over and over again. That we just say we're accepting that whatever the current FBI definition is, that's what we are abiding by. Just something to consider.
I think they put that there so that if there is a situation where someone is looking up our policy because they have a concern because of something that may have happened, that they are able to see very clearly from step one, instead of trying to find this manual elsewhere, everything is defined right there for them. And then they can kind of look to determine themselves, is this something I need to pursue, or does it not fall under what the sex assault definition is, or rape, or
As
whatever.
long as our regulation is current.
I'm more
I
comfortable.
feel like we update it every year. So it is something that is, usually if things change like that, Mrs. Passeretti, Shipman and CABE put something out pretty quickly.
I'm more comfortable having it in there. It makes me more comfortable to have the definitions in there. Although I understand what you're saying, Mrs. Passeretti, I do feel more comfortable actually having the definitions in there.
That's
Right.
fine. There's just something to consider.
Yeah.
I would say, generally speaking, non-discrimination, sex harassment, Title IX used to be, maybe not so much now that we've reverted back to the 2020 version. Those seemingly are up for revision every single year. So they are usually looked at very, very carefully by CABE and by Shipman and Goodwin, and edits are forthcoming every year.
Okay.
Okay, so any questions about the personnel version? The student version, the policy for the same reasons, you know, the rollback of Title IX from the 2024 to the 2020 version. The model policy for students not only complies with the 2020 Title IX regulations, it removes reference to Title IX from the titles of the policies and regulations, given that these policies and regulations cover Connecticut law as well as Title IX. It updated, again, the location and contact information for the U.S. Department of Office of Civil Rights, where individuals may file complaints, given that the Boston office has been closed. It adds a reference to potential use of third-party contractor to conduct investigations.
And who is that? Who's that third party contractor? Do we use Shipman for that?
I think there is, it gives discretion to the district to who that person may be. I'd have to go back and look in the policy to give some examples of that.
I have to believe somewhere along the lines that there is guidelines for what qualifies as a third party contractor.
Yeah, I don't
You know what I
disagree.
mean?
Yeah, I don't disagree. And then it removes the same thing. It updates the definition for fondling within sexual assault and replaces it with criminal sexual content, as well as the definition of rape pursuant to the changes to the NRBRS manual. So these are just standard legal updates to these two policies as well.
Mhm.
Okay. The last revision on the agenda for today is student discipline. This is also a very large policy. It's policy 5131. And these revisions made changes to the statutory provisions related to school climate. Among other things, the revised law contains a new definition of bullying and requires boards of education to address challenging behavior in accordance with the revised school climate law, which you guys redid that policy back at the beginning of the summer. The revisions within this policy reflect that when appropriate, the school district will implement strategies to address student behavior consistent with the school climate policy, with or without engagement with the discipline process. The revised policy also incorporates the updated definition of bullying and the definition of challenging behavior. In addition, the definition of a protected class has been expanded to include individuals who are victims of sexual assault or human trafficking, as required by Public Act 25-139. It expanded the list of conduct that may lead to disciplinary action to include the use of language, imagery, symbols, or conduct that demeans, threatens, or discriminates against an individual on the basis of their membership in a protected class. Language concerning the unauthorized possession, display, or dissemination of images depicting nudity, including synthetically created images, has also been updated to reflect the federal Take It Down Act and recent changes in Connecticut law. Further, the revised policy incorporates new procedural requirements for suspension and expulsion hearings. Specifically, Public Act 25-93 requires school personnel to consult with the district's local homeless education liaison to determine whether a student is homeless, and if so, to consider the impact of homelessness on the student's behavior before proceeding with a suspension or expulsion. The policy also has been updated to ensure compliance with the IDEA when a student who is eligible for special education and related services under IDEA has been suspended for 10 school days in the same school year, even if it's not consecutive. In that circumstance, the district must provide such student with services to enable the student to continue to participate in the general ed curriculum and make progress towards meeting the goals within the student's IEP. Legal references throughout the policy have been updated to reflect current statutory citations. All edits within this policy, just as a reminder, the shades are the addition and the strikeouts are the removals. Any questions?
I have a few, but if anybody else wants to go first,
Go ahead.
I gotta find it again. Hold on. One was the language.
Okay.
Give me a minute.
Okay.
While he's
What-
looking, oh,
One
go
was
ahead.
challenging words or something, or no, challenging behavior.
Yep.
Can you show me where that is?
It's on page 1,
Yeah.
right under definitions. It's letter C.
Oh, yeah, right there. Okay.
Yep.
You know, how is it determined what challenging behavior is? Is there a school discipline policy that they can look at and say, to me, challenging behavior, does that mean that a child has somehow not followed the school discipline policy? I don't know,
So
it just
it
seems
could
like
be,
it's
but
like-
it may not be. It's behavior that just negatively impacts school climate or interferes with the learning or safety of another student.
And who determines that? The administrator?
Teacher and administrator. A teacher can report a student for challenging behavior, and then an administrator would investigate the situation. The specifics and logistics to challenging behavior come under the Connecticut School Climate Policy that we approved back in the beginning of the summer.
Okay.
So that like
And-
term, I would recommend going, and I can send it to you. That policy goes into great detail about challenging behavior and the steps that schools take in order to address challenging behavior. This policy just incorporates that terminology into this particular policy because it may or may not include student discipline related to the challenging behavior.
Okay, and there was another one with language.
Okay.
You probably can find it quicker than me.
I hope.
I should have checked it off. Using inappropriate language or something.
So the,
Wait a minute. Does anybody else remember where
I
that
think
was?
you're talking about the fourth bullet, expanded the list of conduct that may lead to disciplinary action to include the use of language, imagery, symbols, or conduct. Is that what you're talking about?
What, where are you?
That's just one of the changes that were made. So when you get to the section of this particular policy, if you go to page 4 and 5,
Yeah. Okay.
this particular policy kind of lists out all these categories of misbehavior. So item number 7 was added. That was additional language about different disciplinary topics. I think that's might be what you're talking about.
Yeah, so maybe you were talking about something different. I thought there was something in here that said inappropriate language or something was a discipline issue.
Offensive objectively offensive language?
Yeah. Yeah, where was
That's
that?
on page 5, number 7. It's shaded out.
Yeah, I saw that. Wait a minute, including but not limited. Because that was another one, I was wondering, so it just, the issue would be if the language has to do with racial, ethnic, religious epithets, let's see.
Yeah, really any kind of relation to any of the protected classes.
Okay, so it's not just any kind of language, it's just specific to that.
Correct. Yep.
Mhm.
That was my concern, because today there's a lot of inappropriate language in school, and you enforcing this discipline policy all day long.
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha. I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Oh,
All
and
right.
I was just gonna ask, is it you or Mrs. Turner who is oversees like the homeless?
Mrs. Turner does. She's the McKinney-Vento liaison.
Okay.
Okay. So the next section of the policy agenda are new policies. These are required that we implement. I provided for your reference the kind of background to why we need these library policies. This is all legislative. Public Act 25-168 mandates that all school boards adopt a library material review and reconsideration policy. This policy relays a procedure for handling complaints against instructional material used in the classroom or available in the school library media center. It also mandates that all school boards adopt a policy that will serve as a standard against which library material complaints are evaluated. So there is a library development and maintenance policy. And also a library display and program policy that recognizes the purposes and importance of library displays and acknowledges the professional training of school library media specialists who curate and develop such displays and programs. I provided for your reference 2 sets of policies. One is the CABE version, which has them as all separate policies. And then I provided you the Shipman version, which is all 3 policies in one. The regulations are the same, so there is no difference in those.
I will say, when I saw this, Carrie, I love that you gave us both. The CABE having them separate was very confusing.
Mhm.
And I am more drawn toward Shipman when it's all in one.
Mhm.
I like their form better. The separating them out, the way CABE did it, it was very difficult to get through.
I agree.
Okay, so bottom line, it's about an efficiency. If you like the Shipman one better, it includes all of the mandates in one,
Mhm.
and provides the public and the school system all of the information it needs to be in compliance with the law. And ultimately, if there is a concern about a particular library text, there would be a committee that would review the text based on the form that we have here and determine its suitability for the library.
And that was both, right? But yeah.
Mhm.
But I like the shipment. It's just more concise, like you said, Ms. Passerelli.
I agree. Yeah. I was wondering, and this is a I don't like to use the word nitpicky, to a minor edits that I might want to bring up. The form that is being used for reconsideration. I'm wondering if we could phrase the title of the form a little bit differently, where we add, so it says request for reconsideration of library material. Can we add display or program? So it's obvious that it's what this form is for, because it's for all three. And then later on in the form, it does make note of, is it library material, is it a display, or is it a student program that's being reviewed? And maybe like a check which one you are challenging,
Okay.
just so that it's obvious that this is an all-encompassing form that reflects all three.
Okay. I can
And
do-
then that'd be great. Thank you. And then the one thing that I don't see here that is included with the CABE is that there is no form for a request for appeal. Can we have that included in this?
Yes.
It
Hmm.
doesn't have to be the CABE. I mean, if you want to reach out to Shipman and see what they,
You know, Shipman
Okay.
modeled theirs after CABES anyways, so
Okay.
I think the request for appeal is, I don't know that I need to reach out to the attorneys for that.
Okay.
We can
but
just
can we
take
just
that
use
and
this
add
one?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And then you're probably going to anticipate my question, but have we had any of the library media specialists take a look at this?
I will send it out, but I needed first for you guys to pick which version you wanted.
Okay.
before we will, because
Okay.
then I will send it to them for their feedback.
Mhm.
and review, and then when we discuss it in December's instructional committee, if they have any points that I want to bring up at that point, I will do that.
Okay, that would be great. Or, I mean, would it make sense if somebody had feedback? Would it make sense for them to hop into our instructional meeting to give feedback, or?
I don't know, that one's going to be a long meeting. I'll see what it is. If it's something significant, I certainly will invite that person on, and maybe we
Okay.
can adjust the agenda accordingly so that it's not at the end after the department improvement plans. If
Sometimes it's easier to hear directly from them rather than getting something third hand. If we have any follow-up questions,
Sure.
It's, easier I'd rather have the conversation
Mhm.
instead of tabling this so that we can, go
Yeah,
back and forth.
No, I get it. Yep.
That'd be great. If they want to. If they do not want to, I would not expect them to come to an instructional meeting, because goodness, we have enough meetings in our life. Why burden them with another one? But only if they want to.
Understand.
So basically, folks, we are comparing 5.1 with 5.1.1. And which we would rather have. Is that correct?
No.
We're comparing,
Go
I
ahead.
thought
we're
thought five
comparing
was
five,
K.
we're comparing 5.1 and 5.2 and 5.3 with 5.4. So 5.4 has everything that 5.1, 5.2, 5.3 has. So the choice is, do we want 3 separate policies written by CABE or one encompassing policy written by Shipman?
And which one is that?
The one encompassing policy that has all 3 elements is 5.4.
4.
5.4?
Right.
Yes.
I was looking at the wrong one. It does say in this one displays, correct?
Yes.
It says
Okay, yes.
displays and programs. My
Right.
suggestion was just to add the same language to the form that an individual would
Yeah.
fill out if they wanted to challenge it.
Right, I got that, but I wasn't sure. All right, all right. But I really think that displays sometimes causes issues, and I wanted to make sure that was in there.
Yes, it is. We're required to. So Shipman just put all 3 into one policy.
Okay.
I think it's less confusing.
Mhm.
So when we
And I
bring
say that because I was
full board-
confused.
when we bring this to the full board, we will have all of these available, or just what we pick out here.
Mhm.
What you pick out.
What we pick out.
Right. So I will, when I bring this to instruction in December, I'm only bringing the Shipman policy and regulation for library, and I'll add Form B as well as Form A. So
Mm.
you guys made that decision and I'll move that to the board.
But to be fair, anyone can look at our material online,
Correct?
the material that we reviewed for today. And if they have a compelling reason to want to
Mhm.
go with the CABE version, it's their right to do so
Mhm.
if they have a compelling reason.
Right, but it would also then take consensus from the board
Right.
Sure.
to move
Abs-
from board decision. Yes.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep.
I just didn't want anybody to think that we're trying to hide the
No,
version that
I
we
get
did not choose. It's available and anyone can see that this is the version that it's lovely, but we chose Shipman instead.
Right.
No offense to Cabe.
Understand.
But I'm glad we got both. It's good to compare.
I really appreciate you doing that, Carrie.
You're welcome. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.